Hello, fellow plant people. I am back in my seed starting and plant propagation room, and I thought I would just bring you along on my seed starting journey. In my previous video, I mentioned that that was something that still hadn't happened and desperately needed to, so I am doing it. It is literally the next day after I filmed and posted my most recent video. You can check that out right here or right here, wherever that shows up. But really, I wanted to quick show you my method because I am behind, but I have things planned out according to what I think, just based on projections and how our early spring is trending right now, plus the added variable of the fact that I have a greenhouse to kind of store some of these transplants that aren't necessarily ready to be planted into the ground, or just to face that potential situation. I've got things mapped out. I don't feel too terribly behind, honestly. I think that I'm at a place right now where I'm in relatively good shape. If I were to start like a week or two later, I think that's when I would potentially run into some concerns. But right now I'm feeling pretty good. So I'm going to show you what I am starting today. This is going to be my first batch of seeds that I'm starting, my first batch of crops, and they are also the crops that per the directions on the seed packets, you are supposed to start the farthest number of weeks away from your start date, or your planting date, I should say. So let me show you what I got going on right here. Here is my calendar. It's just one of those generic printable calendars that are monthly that you can get off of the internet. I mark out on my weekends because that's when I do the bulk of my sowing. I kind of calculate it out by weekends. You can see here, this is the first one. This is the one I'm doing today. And so I kind of have things marked off from yesterday because I didn't really have room over here, but I'm doing basically everything for this batch today. So that includes celery, onion, eggplant, peppers, tomatoes, and then the flowers that I'm doing are snaps, lavender, and bee balm. So you can see I have these pen. Basically what I'm going to do is grab all of my other seeds that I kind of have sorted out here in bags by kind of the week of their sowing date. So the 3 to 4 weeks, 4 to 6 weeks, 5 to 6 weeks, that is before planting. So the 5 to 6 weeks before you would transplant into your garden. And I do have a full bag too of direct sow seeds. Those are obviously the seeds that are going to go right in on the planting date, whenever that's determined, and that's for us determined by the when the danger of frost has passed. So it's your last frost date of the winter season. So that for us is usually right around mid-May. We used to be able to go by the Mother's Day weekend. It was kind of our rule of thumb, but things have pushed back before, and it looks like we're having a late winter, or at least one where there's going to be a lot of snow on the ground still as we kind of move through the spring weeks. So as far as ground thaw, it's kind of up in the air right now. But what I will be doing is penciling in. I've already marked out, you can see that. So this is April. I've marked out the 7, 6, 5, 4, and 3 week kind of time periods. I've done that over on this side too, on the Saturday. So Saturday and Sundays, I will be doing my sowing in batches. And I'll be penciling in the crops that I end up doing for those weeks. And really, I kind of do it by weather. And also just if things have to move around, it's easier for me to get things done in pencil. And then once I actually do the sowing, I kind of go over in pen so that I know my this year's seed sowing schedule is preserved for reference, like for next year. So again, I've kind of marked out, this is May, I've kind of marked out my planting date. I don't know if you can see that in the pencil. So really, I'm giving myself an extra week because normally we'd be planting kind of around like the May 9th time or that Mother's Day weekend. So I'm giving myself the 20th and the 21st of May as kind of my target date. Again, that date can change just based on what it's doing outside. But it's just kind of how I get my thoughts organized because I'm sowing a lot of seeds over the next several weeks, and it's just my organization method. It's pretty straightforward, pretty easy one with a printable calendar. And then once I kind of get things in the ground, you might notice I do have like summer months in here and even into fall. That's so I can document kind of start dates for sowing anything that I'm going to sow like in midsummer for like a fall crop. So those cooler weather vegetables that you can sow either again in the fall or, you know, kind of target for a fall crop. I can still kind of document that all on here. So that's my calendar. And these are the seed varieties that I'm starting in this first batch. If it looks like a lot to you, you would be correct. It usually is. My first push is usually a big one because I grow a lot of summer crops, specifically a lot of varieties of different summer crops like eggplant and pepper. So you can see I definitely have a lot of peppers. This is my pepper stack, but I'll kind of go in order of the seeds that I'm going to be, you know, that take the longest, or I'm anticipating will take the longest. We'll kind of work our way through here. We'll go veggies first, tomatoes, and then flowers. So I'm going to try this year this Amsterdam variety of celery. And this celery, it's an 80-day celery, and it's a cutting type celery. So that means that I will be able to kind of cut and then harvest again. So multiple harvests off of this crop. So kind of a cut and come again type herb crop style of harvest. So that's exciting. I'm excited to give this one a try. I've never grown celery before, so this is a big experiment for me. We'll see how that goes. Then I have a couple of types of onions here. I always love when they put the children on the covers of the, or on the fronts of these seed packets. It's kind of funny. So my onion varieties that I'm doing is an Ailsa Craig onion. So this is a Scottish variety. I'm probably butchering that Gaelic pronunciation, but it's a long day type onion. It gets pretty big, so that'll be exciting, kind of a jumbo. And this one is going to take some time, I think. I think it's a, you know, it's a frost hardy onion, which is kind of awesome. I've never heard of that. But, you know, it's going to take some time for this beast to grow to harvest size. So just an experimental one for me. This one I'm feeling is a little bit more reliable. I've grown something like this in the past. So this is a yellow sweet Spanish onion. Another long day onion, and it is fairly easy. Its build is fairly easy, or a beginner's onion. So I just, you know, kind of an insurance policy in case this Ailsa Craig one doesn't work so well. But yeah, these are good size. They store well. And I am excited. Onion. I'm also growing scallions, spring onions, but wanted to try a crop of these nice bulb onions. So then we're moving on to the peppers. I grow a pretty decent variety of both sweet and spicy or hot pepper. So we'll just kind of, I don't think I have them sorted in any particular order, but we'll just kind of start with what's on top and keep going. So this is probably my favorite pepper of all time that I've grown, which is the Corbaci pepper. This is a Turkish heirloom. It's really, really, really good. It's just sweet pepper. They grow long, like you see here. They change color on the plant. I usually pick them when they are quite young, and I've had them ripen off the plant really easily without like the pepper spoiling. So that's kind of nice. They're just a really good flavor. I use them in pretty much everything I cook with in the summer, or cook in the summer. All of my recipes tend to include this pepper at some point. They're really, really good. And they grow well up here in zone 4B. Most of my hot peppers I grew in my greenhouse last year, especially the ones I hadn't tried before. So that was including this one, the fish pepper. This actually was a really good producer for me last year. I actually grew it. This is the one I grew last year, the True Love seed fish pepper, and it was awesome. It was a really high yield. Grew it in my greenhouse in a pot. Did really well. Habanada. This is one I wanted to grow last year, and I had seed starts for it. You can see this is the packet that's open, but I didn't get any viable seedlings. They germinated and they did well, but then I lost them all. So I'm gonna try again, figure out what I did wrong, but we'll give this a go, because this would be really nice. It's supposed to have like the kind of rich, fruity flavor of a habanero without the heat. So I would love to have this pepper grow for me this year. Give that a try. Hungarian hot wax pepper. This is another one that did really, really well for me last year. It actually did well. I did not grow this in my greenhouse. This grew in my yard, or in my garden outdoors in the elements, and it did really well. Really good productivity on this plant. So I'm doing it again. Gotta have a jalapeno. If you're gonna have a green jalapeno, you might as well also have a brown jalapeno. I'm gonna give this a try. This was a neat variety I saw in Baker Creek. This is apparently a very productive plant, so I'll be excited to see what it does up here. It's fairly large as well for a jalapeno. They grow 4 to 6 inches long. It says they're ideal for stuffing or roasting, so that will be interesting. High yields, good flavor. It was a high-ranking pepper in Baker Creek's pepper trials, so we'll give that one a try too. But I'm also going with the standard green. And then another one that failed for me last year was the shishito pepper. I did not get strong seedlings from my shishito starts, so I'm gonna give that one a try again. This is the pack that I used last year. I might do, for the ones that I used last year, I might do germination tests just to see if I can reuse those seeds. And if not, I have backups that I want to try as well. But I'd love to have some shishito peppers. It's kind of a sweet, mostly sweet variety of snacking pepper. This is one that's fairly new for me, the ají mango. I grew ají amarillo last year. Mixed results with those. I did get some peppers, but I'd like to see if I can grow this one. Mango sweetness, so they're supposedly really, really sweet and hot, so that'll be a fun combo. And they're small. They're just about 2 inches long. Really, it described as the level of like a serrano pepper, as far as like the heat level goes. So I'm gonna give this a try. This looks like it might be, honestly, I think this has a low germination rate on it. That's what I'm noting on the back of the packet here. It says that it was overpacked due to low germination. So 48% germination rate on this pepper. Uh-oh, we'll see. But yeah, that might be a fun one to try for like a hot sauce. I really want to make my own hot sauce. I just didn't get the yields on some of the peppers that I felt might have been best used for that purpose last year. And then this other one, this is a tiny Peruvian pepper, ají charapita, from Peru. It says it's grown as a house plant, which is kind of fun. And then the small peppers are harvested as needed. I don't think I will be doing that, but who knows? Could try. I don't have a lot of natural or artificial light in my kitchen, so might have to figure something out if I do that. But yeah, it says it's like a cayenne pepper level of heat, and it just a cute little bushy little pepper that grows well in a pot. Looking for a couple of those, so might try the mango and the charapita in pots. I think there might be one other one that I'm gonna give that a go. The fish pepper did pretty well in a pot last year, so I think those three for sure will be, if not in my greenhouse, then in my house. Moving right along, let's take a look at the eggplant varieties I'm gonna try. So this was my tried and true Chinese string, delightful variety of eggplant. I've grown this a few years in a row now, and I will not stop growing this one. It's delightful. It's a really nice, tender, perfect for cooking eggplant, skin on. It grows kind of, what you see on the cover of or on the front of this packet is what you get. They are delightful little eggplants. Really easy to cook with and use. If you're not like super into eggplant, this would probably be a good one to start with, just because they are so tender and they don't get super mushy when you cook them. So would recommend this. I do have a couple of new varieties that I am interested in trying this year. I do want to try this Shiromaru eggplant. This is a Japanese variety. It's a green eggplant. It's good for grilling, and it says that the flesh is mild and sweet and creamy when cooked. So we'll see what that yields. But I'm excited to try green eggplant. Yeah, just neat and new and different. And then this other one, this Rosa di Napoli, is an Italian variety, and they're small. They're like these little apple or pepper looking eggplants. It says they're plum sized. So they grow small, which I think for this part of the world in my zone, the smaller the fruit or the produce is, and in terms of when it is ripe, I think that's better for us, honestly, because some of those larger varieties take a significant amount of time to get to size, and we just sometimes don't have the weather for it, or the climate for it, or the season for it. So smaller varieties, I have noticed, do better up here than some of the kind of larger, more standard or typical traditional varieties, I should say. I know this is it is a Mediterranean plant or Mediterranean vegetable, so it kind of, you know, hit or miss there as far as, you know, I could be completely wrong in my assessment there, but it's one that I want to try. I really do. It's a bushing plant, and then the eggplants, the little fruit, kind of grow in succession, and you're able to have several harvests off of it. So I'm gonna give that one a go too. And then I had this random Ping Tong Long eggplant, which I have had this. I didn't grow this last year. This is actually a 2021 seed pack, so I might do a germination test on this one too. But I do a lot of cooking with eggplant, and I just feel like it might be nice to have several varieties this year. Last year I grew a ton of tomatoes and peppers. This year I want to kind of expand my eggplant crops a little bit, so we'll try that one too. Okay, we'll kind of pick up the pace a little bit here, because I actually do need to get to sowing here before the night is done. But growing significantly fewer number of tomato varieties this year, but I wanted to have at least one of each kind of typical tomato type. So the first one I'm going to try is this spoon tomato. It's the itty bitty micro fruiting tomato. This one you can see, was a free seed pack in my order because I ordered so many dang seeds from Baker Creek. So they give me free seeds pretty much with every order I place with them. But the spoon tomato, it's a 60 to 70 day to maturity. It's teeny tiny. So just a cute little snacking tomato that I can grow in a pot, maybe on my patio. Something I'm looking for. Yeah, I'll give it a go. Then of course I want to have some sort of beefsteak or meaty tomato. This one's an ox heart type. So the bread and salt variety. It's indeterminate. It's just a dense, red, juicy, delightful tomato. So classic in my book. I'm gonna try that one. As far as the cherry variety, I'm gonna try this Evil Olive tomato. I've heard really good things about this one. This is also a fairly quick maturing variety. It says 75 days. So they start kind of this olive green, and then they have red streaks through them on that form, and that's how you can kind of tell they're ripe, but they do kind of retain some of that green color. And it says they're really productive, and the strands, or the what do they call them, trusses, I guess, of the fruit, they just produce super long ones, so long strings of tomatoes on each branch essentially. And they're, well, I guess they're not that cherry-like. This says they get to be plum-sized, so I guess we'll see. We'll see how big these get, but I'm gonna try these ones too, just because I've heard they're really, really productive variety. And then the last tomato that I'm gonna grow is this Queen of the Night tomato. So this is an 80 to 90 day one, so really a mid-season tomato, and it says it's a salad type, so kind of medium-sized, and they're just gorgeous. I'm really, you know, half of the battle with me and tomatoes is finding pretty ones. I really enjoy the beautiful colors and of course the flavor, but color for me is really important as well, and this one just grabbed my attention, so I decided to give it a try. And again, this is another indeterminate variety, so it will vine and go crazy pretty quickly, so definitely planning on having a strong trellis for this one. Those are the tomatoes. So onto the flowers. I'm gonna do bee balm, starting some bee balm seeds. I've grown this before. It can be a perennial here, but mine unfortunately did not come back, so I'm gonna re-sow some because they were delightful. I loved having this in my garden a couple of years ago when I had it. Also starting snapdragons. I've got several varieties here from Swallowtail Garden Seeds. I'm doing a Chantilly Bronze. Obviously there's no picture on this particular seed packet, but the Chantilly Bronze, it's kind of a, these are 4 to 4.5 feet tall is how they get, and it's going to be kind of like an orangey bronze color. And then the rest of the varieties I'm growing for snapdragons are the Twinny variety, because I love they're more compact. They get about 1 foot tall, like 12 inches tall, and they're just these compact, beautiful little blooms that I can put kind of in the mid-ground of my flower bed. They don't have to go all the way in the back. They can kind of be in a mid-ground, you know, not quite in front, you know, where some of my like pansies and violas and alyssum live, but just behind them, and kind of provides that nice kind of gradual increase in height in the garden. So with the Twinny varieties, I'm doing the Apple Blossom. This one is kind of a creamy color that's got some pink tinging to it. Really, really pretty variety. I love this one. I'm doing a Twinny White. That's pretty self-explanatory, just a white. Twinny Peach. So this is kind of a unique blend, it says, of peach, lemon, and light orange. So there's going to be some gradients in there. That'll be pretty. And then the 20 bronze shades. So this is, it says, a unique blend of orange, pink, and rose. So just very, very pastel. There's some gradients. I'm excited for those. I really, really want a lot of snapdragons again. There was one year I had a ton of snapdragons in my garden. It was delightful. Lots of bumblebees. So this last flower that I'm starting tonight is lavender. This is the Munstead strain variety. This is a perennial here, apparently. I've never heard of a northern hardy perennial strain of lavender, but this might be it. So we will give this a try. This is a big experimental one too, because I love lavender. I just, I have to plant it as an annual every year. So if I can get a perennial lavender plant somehow, even if I have to, take some additional steps to ensure that it comes back the following year, if it's mulching, etc., I will do it, because that would be amazing. But it looks just like typical lavender, so we're gonna give that one a try too. So this one I actually have to, in terms of sowing this one, I have to put these on a moist paper towel and into a carton, and then put it in the fridge. It's got to be in the fridge for about a month, and the seeds will sprout. When they sprout, I can pot them up. So that's kind of a unique sowing method for this type of lavender, but that is the plan. So this is what I'm doing today. I'm going to get my soil set up. I use a Spoma seed starting mix, that organic. It usually comes in the blue bag. I'm going to get a bunch of that prepped. All I do is I put it into a large plastic tub, and I dampen it significantly enough, so you guys know the drill, where you add enough water to your seed starting mix so that when you grab a handful and kind of press it in your hand and then let it go, it'll stay clumped up, but it won't necessarily drain a bunch of water out when you squeeze it. So just compact enough for it to hold its shape, but not too much water so that it is very, very liquidy almost, or that a lot of water escapes when you squeeze it. So that's the plan. I will meet you right back in just a second. Okay, so in this first flat, I have 36 little soil blocks that I will be able to put seeds into. And so I think in this one, I'm gonna sow the celery. I'm going to sow both varieties of sweet onion, and then I am going to also try and get the eggplant in here. If I don't get all of the eggplant varieties in here, then I will certainly, nope, you know what? I'm rethinking it. I want the eggplants all together. So I think I'm gonna do celery, onion, and I kind of want to do the tomatoes in here because I have fewer varieties of those. I'm not going to grow as many plants. So that's what I think I'm going to do. I think I'm going to do the celery, onions, and tomatoes in this package. Okay, just a quick recap. What I did with these cells is I obviously followed the instructions on the back of the packets. For the celery, this seed actually needs light, or it's a surface sow seed. So I left it open. I may put just a very light dusting of vermiculite over those, but it's a surface sow, so I did not kind of close in this top little divot that's on each of these little soil molds. The rest of them I did. I kind of covered them up with soil in the block, and then I sprayed them down. I'll be doing this you know, I don't know, I'll just kind of keep an eye on them, check the moisture levels. I am going to put these under a humidity dome, and they don't really need, well, the celery needs light, so I will have light on these. They don't technically need light to germinate, these other ones, but once the sprout comes through on the top of the soil, that's when you would turn your lights on. But for the celery, I am going to have lights on it because it is a surface sow seed. So I'm going to do the exact same process, building the soil blocks, kind of figuring out how many plants or how many seedlings I want for each variety, organizing them accordingly in the tray and making their labels, and then sowing the seeds. I'm going to do that exact same process for the eggplant and the peppers, and then I will also do that probably a smaller tray for the snapdragons and the lavender. Well, the lavender is actually going in the fridge. It's kind of a separate, unique process for that. But the snapdragons and the bee balm, I will be also sowing in this exact same way. So I will catch you on the flip side as soon as I'm done with those other two trays. All right, I have all of my first round of seed starts done. I have tomatoes and my onions and my celery in this first one. Again, the light is on because the celery is a surface sow seed. It doesn't really matter if there's light or not on these seedlings. Just generally know that until they sprout, it's not really required to have the lights on for most things, unless it's indicated that it's a surface sow or it needs light to germinate, which is what the majority of this tray is. So I've got my snapdragons in there, and snapdragons are surface sow seeds. They need light to germinate, so I didn't even close up that little divot in the top of the soil blocks. The seeds are just in there. I just gave it a good spray down with water, and I also have some bee balm in there. Again, plenty of room in this one for some additional seeds. Probably in the next round, I'll try and fill up that tray. The peppers and the tomatoes filled up this tray completely, as did, the tomatoes and the onions, I should say, and the celery filled up this tray completely, as did the peppers and the eggplant. I did manage to get all of the pepper varieties in here, as well as all of the eggplant varieties. So I have 4 varieties of each pepper. I had 9 peppers total, and then I'm doing 4 of the Chinese string eggplant, 3 of the Rosa di Napoli eggplant, and then 2 each of the Shiromaru and the Pingtung Long eggplants. So kind of figured out my method for that. I actually need to get heat mats under the peppers and the eggplants and the tomatoes. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that. But that is all. I know this got into kind of a lot of detail. I think as I kind of roll out the rest of my seeds, I'm going to kind of introduce you to what I am growing, but I'm not necessarily going to go through the whole process again. I think that would make for a lot of hour-long videos or 45-minute videos. So not going to do that, but I am really happy with what I've got going on. I used up an entire bag of soil, and I used it almost completely up, which is amazing. It was kind of perfect. But yeah, everything is cleaned up. My seeds are going, and I finally feel like garden season has started. So hopefully you guys are having a great night, great day, great week, whenever you're viewing this. And until next time, enjoy your plants. Post-credit scene, everybody. I actually ended up sewing a few more things, and I just wanted to share what those were. I have about 6 varieties of viola, kohlrabi, the super schmelz, so that's that huge, delightful 10-inch bulb of brassica goodness. I've got some Romanesco that I started, and then I have a couple of varieties. Well, I guess I've got this milkweed ice ballet, which technically I guess is perennial up here, and then a blue version. It's not a milkweed per se, but it's in the same family. It's like a cousin, Tweedia, a heavenly blue variety. So that one's not perennial up here, but I wanted to try it because I've never had like a true like turquoise blue flower in my garden. So I'm gonna give that a go. But yes, more seedlings. All right, thanks everybody. Bye.